And the subjects of the daily headlines for most of the 1998 season. They've been the recipients of their hometown fans' adoration for even longer. And their on-field accomplishments have even their teammates envious at times. They've had to endure the pressure that comes with attempting to break a major league home run record that stood for almost 40 years. And it's easy to see that one of them has handled that pressure better than the other. For the next 3 days, they go head-to-head together in their quest to eclipse 61 home runs in a single season. The opening act of the Sammy Big Mac Show is next from St. Louis. Busch Stadium, always an electric venue, and these two old rivals get together, but more so tonight as the home run leaders in Major League Baseball come to town chasing a legendary mark. Hi, everybody. I'm Wayne Larrivee along with Steve Stone. Great to have you with us for what should be a great weekend of baseball here in St. Louis. Busch Stadium in St. Louis on a beautiful summer night for baseball. And let's take a look at the Pepsi. Batting order for manager Jim Riggleman. It starts at center field with Brant Brown, Morandini, Sosa, then Grace, Rodriguez, Hernandez, Houston, Alexander, and Traxel. 15 career homers for Sammy Sosa in this ballpark.
The Cardinal defense for Tony La Russa. Gant, Langford, and Jordan left to right. Tatis, Ordaz, Kelly, and McGuire in the infield. A battery of Eli Marrero and former Cub Kent Bottenfield. This is his 12th start. He's been probably the most versatile of all the Cardinal pitchers. He's got 4 saves. He's making his 12th start. He's been used as a middle reliever, so he's been used everywhere on a decimated pitching staff, and that's really been the story for the Cardinals this year. The pitching staff and the inability to stay healthy. Now they've traded Todd Stottlemyre, and now it's mix and match. Anybody who can take the ball and go to the mound is a friend of Tony La Russa right now.
Well, you better watch it. You might be asked. I don't know if there's any eligibility left in your arm. Before tonight's game, always a big moment when Mark McGuire comes out for batting practice. This is prior to taking his cuts in the cage, signing some autographs for the fans here in St. Louis, and of course batting practice. This is what the fans come early for, and there it goes to left field. Brant Brown leading off the Cubs to start the ball game. First pitch is a swinging strike one. Well, Kent Bottenfield has done an outstanding job, as you mentioned, Steve, in a starting capacity for the St. Louis club, and he's convincing Tony La Russa that, hey, maybe starting is what he should be doing.
Tatis in very close at third, surprisingly close.
And Brant looks at strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And now he moves back with 2 strikes on Brown. 330 down the lines, 372 to the power alleys, 402 to straightaway center.
The 1-2 is a little bit low, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
This used to be a very difficult place to hit home runs. It's still not easy, but it's a whole lot easier than it used to be.
And the 2-2 pitch. Count fills at 3-2.
Well, you got to figure you're going to see a fastball here, and for Brant Brown, it should be a pretty good pitch to hit.
Morandini is the on-deck hitter, and the payoff to Brown. Browning a wave and a miss for strike 3. Bottenfield, as we mentioned, coming off a strong performance at his last start. He went 7 innings and struck out 6 at Atlanta.
He turns this ball over, and it's got good movement at 89 miles an hour. So 1 hitter, 1 strikeout. Kent Bottenfield starts out the game pretty well, and Tatis once again in very close at third. So he wants to make sure that the left-handers forget about the bunt that way.
And Mickey Morandini, the hitter, and he has been red hot of late. Takes the pitch on the inside corner for strike 1 called. Morandini 3 for 4 Wednesday at Wrigley Field. He's hitting .354, 17 for 48 over his last 13 games. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, despite the terrible year of the Cardinals, they're 7 under 500 at 53 and 60. They played very well at home. They're 6 over 500 as Tony La Russa looks on.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Morandini as Bottenfield works ahead of the count on these 2 hitters to start the ball game. And this one Dumped into left center field for a base hit. Ronnie Gant over to cut it off, and Morandini is aboard. Steve, it looked like he jammed him a little bit on that.
Well, once again, Mickey Morandini, the table setter for Sammy Sosa. This one out over the plate. Mickey gets it off the end of the bat, dumps it into left center. And you can run on Ron Gant, and every chance the Cubs get, they will indeed run on Gant.
So here is part of what this soon-to-be sellout crowd came to see. Not Mickey Morandini on first, but slamming Sammy Sosa at the plate. And Sosa, 43 homers, 111 RBIs. Bottenfield misses low and away for ball one.
I wouldn't think that Sammy would see a hittable fastball inside. If Bottenfield goes in at all on Sammy because he is not overpowering, he's going to try to go way in off the plate, but early in the count he'll stay away.
Sammy checks his swing and takes it outside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Take a look at the home run heroes this season on a fast track, going for Roger Maris's single season record of 61. And what a weekend it is here in St. Louis. Great anticipation always for this series between the Cubs and Cardinals, but more so with the home run leaders meeting in this matchup. Make it 3 balls and no strikes, as Bottenfield is yet to hit the strike zone against Sosa.
Well, Sammy always gets the 3-0 green light, so if he gets close, Sammy's going to be swinging.
And he had a pitch to swing at, and 3 balls and 1 strike as Sammy fouls it off. On deck, Mark Grace, who's provided good protection for Sosa this season.
And it's good to see him back in the lineup after a bit of a groin problem.
He's 2 games this week. 3 balls, 1 strike on Sosa. Quick move to first base. Morandini, the dive back safely.
Luis Ordaz is a slick fielding shortstop with a rocket for an arm. Tatis has had occasional problems at third base, so look for that in this series.
3-1 pitch. He laid off it. It's ball 4, and Sosa's aboard. Runners at first and second with 1 out.
This is where Mark Grace will have an opportunity to improve on the 59 runs batted in. For him, this is a great doubles ballpark. Very spacious alleys. Ron Gant playing him off the line. We've seen some teams playing him where they take away both lines and give him the alleys, but the Cardinals much different. They play him straight away and right, but Gant is well off the line in left, so a lot of room down that left field line.
1 out, 2 on for Mark Grace. Kent Bottenfield with a record of 3 and 5. And the pitch down low to Grace for ball 1.
It's pretty important to get on top of a team that's not a contender early in the ball game. You have a tendency, if you get on top by a few runs, that they might meet the contest with a little less intensity.
The 1-0 to Grace, and that drops in there for a strike called.
And the Cubs know, being on the road in St. Louis, in fact being on the road for 9 games, Houston is home for those same 9 games. And the big unit tonight takes on Philadelphia.
And we'll keep an eye on that one. The 1-1 pitch in there for a called strike, and it's 1-2. And of course, you now have a gizmo machine, which makes you the gizmo man.
I do indeed, but you don't need it here because you have an inning by inning scoreboard, which is a dandy.
Much like a Wrigley Field scoreboard. 1-2 pitch, and Grace spoils it foul, and out of play down the left field line. Obviously, Mark Grace has taken note of where Ron Gant is playing in left field, and he would like nothing better than to go down the line.
Well, if Bottenfield stays away, he's going to go there, and Mark Grace against right-hand pitchers, and Ricky Morandini against right-hand pitchers, both in the top 5. John Olerud's been hitting everybody very well.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and it's 2-2. Sammy Sosa has pointed it out, Steve, that it's no secret. Part of the reason why he's having the season he's having are the people around him. Morandini in front of him, batting .327. Part of the reason why Sosa has 111 RBIs. Mark Grace, a .320 hitter, right behind him.
And Mark Grace in this ballpark, the average is down, but he's driven in some runs.
2-2 pitch hit on the ground, past the diving Tatis into left field. They're going to send Morandini. The throw from Gant, and Morandini slides in safely. The ball gets away from the catcher, Marrero, and moving on to third base, Sammy Sosa, into second base, Mark Race.
It's going to go as an error on Gant, and the Cubs do indeed have the early lead. They did pitch Mark Race away, and he hit it that way. Past Tatis into left field. We told you they're going to run on Gant every chance they get. Ron Gant gets it there, but not in time, and the ball gets away from Marrero, and the runners move up, so they're out of the double play situation for Henry Rodriguez. RBI number 60 for Grace.
And Henry Rodriguez at 245, 27 homers and 73 knocked in. 14 homers and 31 RBIs over his last 37 games. And he looks at the breaking pitch a little bit low for ball one.
With first base open and Henry having the kind of year he's having, you would think that Bottenfield would be very careful with him. Best arm in the outfield, Jordan and right.
A wave and a miss, and it's 1-1.
I would think that Henry would see all breaking balls and fastballs right in on his hands off the plate.
Sammy at third, Gracie at second. One out. 1-1 the count. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
3 straight breaking balls to Henry. As you can see, despite his batting average, it's been a very productive year for him. And he could very easily drive in 100 plus.
2-1 the count. That's in there for strike 2 call.
If you're on the mound here, knowing that a fly ball gets a run, you're thinking strikeout.
And Bottenfield 1 pitch away from a potential strikeout. Henry steps out. Bottenfield making his 12th start as a Cardinal. And here's the pitch. Hit on the ground, right side. Backhanded by McGuire. His throw to the pitcher covering off the mark. Sosa scores, and here comes Grace, and it is a 3-0 Cubs lead.
Probably be a base hit and an error. The first part of it was very good. The second part wasn't too good. This is a good effort, but McGuire, who as a first baseman is an excellent home run hitter, throws this one by Kent Bottenfield, and he throws it by him by plenty. Now his brother was the NFL quarterback, and Mark threw that one well wide. So the Cubs on top by 3, and the Cardinals have already committed 2 errors.
They rule it an error, but they do give an RBI on that roller to the right side by Rodriguez, and the hitter Jose Hernandez. Pitch taken down low for ball 1. Jose, career highs in homers with 16 and runs batted in with 54. Still only 1 out. Rodriguez aboard at first. Top of the first inning. Eli Marrero giving the signs to Bottenfield, and here's the pitch. That's on the inside corner for a called strike. Not every seat in the house is filled yet, but we're told it was a sellout game tonight. The 1-1 delivery. That's off the plate. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Happiest man in the ballpark right now outside of Jim Riggleman is Steve Traxel, who doesn't mind taking a little extra time here in the first inning if you keep putting runs up on the board.
He's not worried about it hurting his rhythm.
Not at all.
2-1 delivery. That's in there for a strike, and it's 2-2. Since becoming a starter on June 10th, Bottenfield's earned run average coming into tonight's game was 3.30. As a reliever, it was 6.48. But here tonight, he has struggled and hasn't helped himself. 2-2 pitch. That's foul, out of play. He hasn't been helped by his teammates. 2 errors in the inning have helped fuel the Cubs' attack.
I would think one of the big problems with Bottenfield as a starter is that he basically is a 1-speed pitcher. He throws a hard slider and a hard fastball, and not a whole lot in between. Tony La Russa has seen this before.
2-2 pitch. shot to McGuire, steps on the bag for a double play to end the inning. A low liner to McGuire. He gloved it. No chance for Rodriguez to get back. The first inning ends suddenly for the Cubs, but they do score 3. And the Cardinals and McGuire coming to bat. Beautiful Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Game 1 of a 3-game series between two arch rivals, the Cardinals and Cubs. Kelly, Jordan, McGuire, Langford, Gant, Tatis, Marrero, Bottenfield, and Ordaz. Yes, Bottenfield hitting 8th in the order. Tony La Russa.
The Pepsi defense for the Cubs: Rodriguez, Brown, and Sosa left to right, Hernandez, Alexander, Morandini, and Grace, and a battery of Tyler Houston and Steve Traxel. Traxel looking for win number 12 in this his 23rd start. He's always had pretty good luck against the Cardinals. 7-4 lifetime with an ERA of .327 in 15 games. This year he has made one start against them. Gave up a couple of earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. That back on May 2nd at Wrigley Field, and he got a no decision. But the Cubs won that one 4-3.
Jim Riggleman's club enjoys a 3-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the first inning, and Pat Kelly leads it away for the Cardinals at .269 with a homer and 6 runs batted in.
You have to watch the bunt with Kelly, and he'll bunt to either side, either third or first. So you know that Jose Hernandez will be close. Mark Grace also has to play close because Kelly doesn't mind trying to push it by the pitcher and then beat the play to first base.
Kelly's done a pretty good job for this Cardinal team since coming over in a trade. He was acquired on July 16th for cash considerations from the Blue Jays organization. And the first pitch from Traxel is smoked foul to the left field line.
Delino DeShields went on the disabled list, and there is speculation that he will be back as early as Sunday. Some think maybe Monday. In his place, Kelly has given them a much steadier glove at second base, and he's given them some surprising offense, hitting close to .270.
No balls and 1 strike. Kelly spent most of this summer in AAA at Syracuse. That pitch is down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Steve Traxel has gone 7 innings or more in his last 7 starts. The 1-1 delivery. That's in there for strike 2 call. And Trax has had, for the most part, a pretty consistent season, Steve, and he's given up 15 home runs so far this year in over 140 innings, which is a great improvement over a year ago. What do you see as the difference there? 1-2.
I think his split finger is a lot better this year. He's been much more consistent. Once again, he's had command of the outside corner, something last year at times, Wayne, he was missing. I mean, last year he was 8-12, an ERA .451. Was not a particularly good year for him, and I think many times he lost the ability to hit the spot on the outside corner. This year, more times than not, he's done that, and he's parlayed it into a tremendous season.
Traxel has gone the distance with Kelly. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes to the Cardinal leadoff man. And here's the payoff. That's ball 4. So not a good way to start it for Steve Traxel. He walks the leadoff hitter.
There's another factor with Steve Traxel, Wayne, and that is that he's got a real good closer this year. And Rod Beck comes in and closes the door. Traxel's only completed 1 of his 22 games, but Rod Beck comes in and he does a pretty good job. And last time out, Steve was the winner, giving up 9 hits in 7 innings, only 2 runs, and he beat the Rockies. And that is the ComEd power profile.
And a powerful performance indeed for Traxel. Now Brian Jordan, the hitter, at .322 with 17 homers and 64 runs batted in. No balls, 1 strike.
Once again, Tony La Russa is hitting his pitcher 8th and his shortstop 9th in an effort to ostensibly get as many guys as he can on ahead of McGuire. However, Ordaz is hitting .135. I wonder if he had Traxel, who's been a great hitter this year, if he would hit him behind McGuire.
A little protection there, you think?
Well, Jordan was hitting behind McGuire, giving him pretty good protection. Tonight it's Ray Langford, because the hottest of all the Cardinals right now is Langford.
Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that's in there for strike 2 called.
And there's a look at Langford, who is in the cleanup spot. And he's the one man to beware of right now. He's swinging the best bat by far.
Jordan, meanwhile, has missed the last 4 games due to illness. However, he did have a pinch single in the win Wednesday at Milwaukee.
but he also has grounded into 16 double plays, a whopping total for a man who can run.
The 0-2 delivery, and it's taken outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now, does that mean he hit the ball hard at somebody?
That usually means that and the fact that he's hitting a lot of ground balls.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that this is not the artificial surface any longer, so it's not the easiest place to turn a double play.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Jordan. Former defensive back with the Atlanta Falcons. Matter of fact, there was a lot of conjecture, Steve, that Jordan would be packaged in some kind of a trade by the Cardinals before the trade deadline. He is eligible for free agency next year. Hits it hard down the line, off the bag, past Hernandez into left field. Kelly turns second. He's heading to third. Into second base with a stand-up double is Brian Jordan, and the Cardinals have something cooking here in the bottom of the first.
Well, the Cubs got a few breaks in their half of the first, and this is a great break for the Cardinals in the bottom half of the first. Jose Hernandez is going to catch this ball and maybe get an out. Watch what happens. It hits the bag and redirects, goes over the head of Hernandez, and then a double's easy. Jose's played a magnificent third base, and with his arm, he might have had a shot at Jordan at first. As it turns out, now runners at second and third, nobody out for Big Mac on the 24th double of the year for Brian Jordan.
McGuire, the major league home run leader with 45. He has 100 runs batted in.
We will tell you that they're in the bottom of the second at Houston. It's a scoreless game. Randy Johnson has shut out the Phillies for 2 innings, and Houston coming to bat in the second.
It's been better than a week since McGuire has hit a home run. His last homer July 28th off Milwaukee's Mike Myers. And here's the pitch, and he dumps into right field, a base hit. This will score 2. They're waving Jordan. Kelly has already scored, and Sosa's throw is into second base, and the Cardinals are on the board, trailing 3-2.
McGuire with 102 runs batted in. So a walk, a double, and a single has cut the 3-run lead to a 1-run lead. And it looks like it's going to be an extravaganza here. The inside-out stroke by McGuire. They had the radical shift on. He punches it into right. No chance to get Jordan. And just like that, the Cardinals show the Cubs that although they've had terrible pitching, at least for tonight, there's nothing wrong with his offense.
And Ray Langford, you see the numbers: 281, 19 homers, 65 runs batted in, also 23 doubles for Langford. McGuire's at first, nobody out, strike 1 the call on Langford.
You want to stay away from Langford as much as possible. I talked with hitting coach Dave Parker. He said Langford is at his best when he's trying to drive the ball right over the shortstop's head into left center. He'll get very pull conscious at times, and then you can keep the ball away and he'll ground it to the right side.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Langford, as you mentioned, Steve, the hottest of the Cardinals. 8 homers, 25 runs batted in, and 7 doubles since the All-Star break. He's hitting .327 over the course of those games.
He's got a long-term contract, as does Ron Gant, so they've got both of those guys for a few more years.
Not to mention Big Mac is going to be here for a while.
Big Mac will be here, but the man who probably won't is Brian Jordan. And there is Gant in the on-deck circle.
The 1-1 pitch from Traxel, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Steve Traxel does not have to worry about the big man at first base.
He hasn't stolen a base yet, has he?
No attempts either. When you're chasing Roger Maris, you don't want to be chasing Ricky Henderson also.
Yes. He'd be hard to catch. Here's the 2-1 delivery, and that's down low. Nice block by Tyler Houston. It's 3 balls and 1 strike, and McGuire hangs on at first.
Here comes the dangerous pitch, because Langford has been hotter than McGuire, and if you get one out over the plate, he can hit it a long way.
Nobody out in the bottom of the first. The Cubs leading 3-2. Steve Traxel laboring, trying to get the first out of the inning. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That's ball 4.
Maybe Phil Regan might want to go to the mound.
And on cue, here comes the pitching coach of the Cubs. McGuire moves to second, Langford on at first, and Ron Gant will be stepping to the plate. but not before Mr. Regan has an opportunity to talk with his pitcher.
Well, this game, the complete opposite of the game in Houston. They're scoreless through 2. And here, a lot of fireworks in the first inning, as Riggleman saw what for the Cubs would have been a fairly comfortable 3-run lead, especially with Traxel on the mound, dissolve very quickly into a 1-run lead and nobody out here in the first.
Earlier today, the Yankees won again 8-2 in New York over Kansas City. What's that, about 81 or 82 wins? It's
Really,
81,
Wayne,
isn't it?
yeah, all you have to say is that the Yankees were in New York. And then you can pretty much take it to the bank that they have won. They're now 39-8 at home. How about that for a home record?
They've got more games remaining at home than they do on the road the rest of the way. That's scary. First pitch taken by Gant for ball 1 for strike 1 on the outside corner.
Gant is fanned 61 times in 244 at bats. So penciled out over an entire season of close to 600 at bats. That's close to 200 strikeouts. You can get him. You can tie him up inside, or he'll chase breaking balls or fork balls in the dirt.
1 ball, 1 strike. Gant matched the 97 home run total with his 17th on Monday. And an RBI double on Tuesday. Went 2 for 3 on Wednesday. Pretty good run through Milwaukee for Ron Gant this week.
He is an enormously strong hitter.
Had a big swing there, and it's 1-2.
He is not going to catch up with fastballs that high, and that's one of the reasons why, if he could avoid injury and play a full season, he would be among the league leaders in strikeouts on a perennial basis.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Ron Gant. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Bottom of the first inning, 2 runs in already for the Cardinals. And the 1-2 delivery lifted in the air to left field, but right at Henry Rodriguez, who puts it away for the first out on the bottom of the first inning.
One of the breaks the Cubs got was that perennial Cub killer Gary Gaetti is not going to get any play now that Fernando Tatis has joined the ball club. And the agents for Gary Gaetti have contacted the Cubs, notably Ed Lynch, asking if they would be interested. A lot of people figure that Gaetti, now that he is expendable, might be moving elsewhere. He's a man with a lot of postseason experience and a very valuable asset to a ball club, and there are those who speculate that he might wind up in a Cub uniform before this is all over.
Tony La Russa mentioned the guy. He's one of the quality guys inside the clubhouse as well. A very good student of the game. Pitch taken up high by Fernando Tatis. Tatis came over in the Todd Stottlemyre trade and with Texas last week, the trading deadline. A lot of people feel this Tatis could become an eventual star at third base.
Well, he's a good high fastball hitter. He's had a problem defensively this year. He really likes to attack the fastball early in the count.
The 1-0 delivery is slapped down the right field line. This is trouble. Into the corner on the track. Sammy on his horse after it. Big Mac scores, and they are holding up Ray Lankford at third. On with a double, Fernando Tatis. That is the 3rd hit of the inning and the 2nd double of the inning for the Cardinals. We are tied at 3.
Kind of surprised once Rene Latchman saw that throw was not going to hit the cutoff man, that he didn't send Ray Lankford. This one sliced down the line. You would have thought Lankford would have scored. Watch it again, because Sammy throws it over the cutoff man. McGuire ties it up. And when this throw is not able to be cut off, Latchman decided well ahead of time to hold Lankford at third. So with runners at second and third, it's a tie game. And Steve Traxel not out of the woods yet.
Eli Marrero, the young catcher, steps to the plate for the Cardinals at 2:31 with a couple of homers and 10 runs batted in.
Bonfield hitting .050, and so this is where it kind of hurts to have your pitcher hitting in the 8th spot, because now you walk Marrero and you pitch to Bonfield, who has had just 1 hit in 20 at bats.
So that's going to be the case as the Cubs get ball 2 here. And as you said, Kent Bonfield, the pitcher, will come to the plate in the number 8 slot. Meanwhile, Stevens up in the bullpen for the Cubs.
This has been quite an eventful first inning.
And again, as we mentioned before, Traxel has been so consistent and really durable, Steve, when you consider pitching 6 innings or more in 17 of his starts this year. And in his last 7 starts, he's gone 7 innings or more.
And we can't stress enough, with Houston at home the entire trip, the Cubs are away. Every game so very important. You're 5 back in the loss column, 4.5 overall. And in the wild card race, the Cubs have the inside track, but they've got to hold off San Francisco and New York. The Giants have a similar schedule to Houston in that they are home for approximately 10 more games from here on out than they are on the road. So that favors the Giants and Houston coming down the stretch. The Cubs are going to have to be road warriors if they're going to get into postseason play.
1 out, bases loaded for the pitcher Kent Bottenfield. He has executed 3 successful sacrifices this season. At the plate overall, he is 1 for 20. And that pitch misses a little bit high for ball 1.
Well, you would think that Bottenfield with an .050 batting average would be told to take a strike and hope you can get the walk.
Bases loaded with Redbirds. 1 ball, no strikes the count. Traxel laboring. Gets the bunt down the first base line. It's going to stay fair. Traxel's throw to first. Off the glove of Grace. 2 runs have scored. Langford comes around, and when Grace dropped the ball.
And they're going to say that Bottenfield was inside the baseline. Jim Riggleman's going to argue. Jerry Crawford already shaking his head saying no. Well, watch it again. Watch the ball as it spins back toward the fair territory. Bottenfield right here is inside the base. When the ball hits him, he is inside the line. And Jim Riggleman has a legitimate complaint. Langford scores. It's an excellent bunt. But then as the throw hits Bottenfield, the Cardinals score again. 5 in the first. Runners at the corners, only 1 out. And that will be an error on Traxel. So things falling apart for the Cubs here. And I think Jim Riggleman had a legitimate complaint if you look down the line and watch where Bottenfield was when he got hit with that ball.
Well, I thought the ball went off the glove of Grace. You're right. It hit Bottenfield, the ankle area, and that's caromed away, and that allowed another run to score.
Bottenfield will get a run batted in. And on the air, the 5th Cardinal run scored.
Luis Ordaz, the shortstop, is the hitter, and quick move over to first. Runners at the corners now as Marrero moved to third on that play.
Pretty good base running by Tatis, who has tremendous speed. When he saw that ball get away, and it didn't get away all that far, he just kept on coming, and there was no chance to get him at the plate.
Here's the 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. 1 out. The Cardinals, with 5 in the bottom of the first, have taken a 5-3 lead.
Looks to me, Wayne, like these Cardinals, who do a lot of bunting, have banked the foul lines. That ball was heading foul and actually spun back toward the field of play. It's a wise thing to do if you're a groundskeeper, because if you have a bunting team, you might as well do it to take advantage of the home court.
Foul back over the screen and out of play. It's 2-1. Well, I would imagine when they manicure this field, they take that into consideration. I imagine they do some things at Wrigley Field as well. Perhaps grow that infield grass a little long, maybe.
And there is the heads groundkeeper. And it worked out very well with Bottenfield.
2 balls and 1 strike. A rough first inning for Traxel, to say the least, after being staked to a 3-0 lead. This first inning has gone the better part of a half hour.
That's the 2nd run batted in for Bottenfield this year.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 2 on. Jammed him and he bloops it foul down the right field line, out of play.
Ordaz hits way too many fly balls for a guy without a whole lot of power, and that's one of the things that they were working on before the game with Dave Parker, the hitting coach. He wants Luis to swing down on the ball, try to take advantage of his speed, hit the ball on the ground. Here's a situation where a fly ball, if it's deep enough, can get you a run.
Marrero at third, Bottenfield on at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's fouled away. Count remains 1-2. Ordaz was recalled from Memphis on Sunday. Went 2 for 3 with an RBI in that ball game.
Well, they had to call him up because they traded Royce Clayton along with Todd Stottlemyre for Tatis and Oliver, a left-hand pitcher that the Cubs will see on Sunday. And there is Walt Jocketty talking with the Cub president, Andy McPhail. Jocketty, the GM of the Cardinals.
The 1-2 delivery. Chopped to the left side. Up with it, Manny Alexander, and does not make a play. Scoring is Marrero, and it is a 6-3 ball game.
That probably is going to be an RBI and an error. No, they're giving him a base hit. There's no rhyme nor reason to the scoring here, but we do know that it's 6-3 Cardinals. This has got to be a force out at second base. The ball slips out of the hands of Manny Alexander. They're giving Luis Ordaz a base hit and his 3rd run batted in this year. And the hit parade continues. 9 runs, 6 hits, 3 errors, and we're not through the first.
Top of the order, Pat Kelly. Kelly started this bottom of the first inning by walking, and he takes strike 1 here.
I remember the walk, Wayne. He had a 3-run lead, and a leadoff walk didn't seem like it would turn into much.
No. Little did we know that a half hour later we'd still be in the bottom of the first, and it's 6-3 Cardinals. 1 ball, 1 strike. My, nothing comes easy these days for manager Jim Riggleman.
Well, if Kelly does want to bunt, it is well open for him on the right side.
The Cubs would love to turn 2 in the infield to get out of this inning. There's a shot down the left field line. Rodriguez giving chase. Bottenfield will score. And they're going to send Ordaz to the plate. Here's the relay throw cut off by Hernandez. 2 more runs in for the Cardinals. It is an 8-run inning. 8-3 St. Louis.
RBIs 7 and 8 for Pat Kelly, who is bidding to find a spot, and that's going to be it for Steve Traxel. He's not going to survive this first inning, as the Cardinals put 8 on the board on 5 hits, 1 error, and Steve Traxel with his most disappointing start in a long time.
He goes 1/3 of an inning and heads off the mound, trailing 8-3. Back to tell you about the new Cubs pitcher after these messages. Well, Steve Traxel, his shortest outing of the season, 1/3 of an inning. He is still responsible for a runner on base in Pat Kelly. Meanwhile, Dave Stevens takes the hill.
Stevens at 1-0, ERA 2, on for the 18th time, and he's been terrific out of the bullpen. So he comes in trying to stem the red tide. McGuire already has a single, 2 runs batted in, giving him 102. Tatis with a double. Jordan with a double. Ordaz with a base hit. And Kelly with a 2-run double. It's been a nightmarish 8-run inning so far. And Wayne, I cannot remember an 8-run first by a Cubs opponent in a long, long time.
It's been a while. Stevens will try to put a stop to it, and Steve Traxel looking a little shell-shocked to say the least. Well, you know it as well as anyone, Steve. Some nights you go out there, and not only do you not have your best stuff, you don't have any stuff.
That happens to every pitcher that has ever pitched. You just have to hope that it doesn't happen in a critical game. And as far as the Cubs are concerned, the only bit of good news is there is a long way to go against a pitching staff that's had all kinds of problems.
Well, here is Brian Jordan. He doubled down the left field line of the first inning and scored a run, and we are still in the first inning. Fastball up high for ball one.
This Cardinal team came in hitting just .259. So this was not one of the league's better offenses, and they came in with 8 right-hand hitters against Steve Kraxel, just one lone lefty.
Steenstra's 1-0 pitch is up high. Hey, how about this? You come to the ballpark into the first inning, you see Big Mac not only once but twice in the first inning.
Something else that isn't fair. Houston has taken a 3-0 lead over Philadelphia, and Randy Johnson has shut out the Phillies through 3.
Dave Stevens on in relief, and he misses low and away and runs the count to 3 balls and no strikes.
And again, the problem is if you fill up the unoccupied base, and that appears what Dave Stevens is about ready to do, you have to pitch to McGuire.
Kelly aboard at second. Now that's ball 4. Walked him on 4 pitches, and now faces the prospect of trying to collect himself against Mark McGuire, as you saw the Astros score.
Jeff Bagwell has hit a home run, and he's going to try to lead that team to the playoffs if he can.
Mark McGuire lined a 2-run single to right field earlier in this inning. We are still in the bottom of the first inning.
They play a radical shift, and he hit it right through the shift the first time up. Morandini almost directly in back at second base.
Fastball up high for ball 1. Take a look up to date so far. Roger Maris hit 4 home runs at a July 25th doubleheader. From the 11th to the 16th, he hit 7 home runs in the month of August. So McGuire, Griffey, Sosa, they've still got their work cut out for them as this season continues. 1 ball, no strikes. McGuire was looking to hit it to Big Mac land there.
All you can see when McGuire starts to swing is flash cubes going off all over the ballpark. And Sammy goes, yeah, that guy swings pretty hard. But Sammy, he might be bigger, but he doesn't swing any harder than Sammy does. They might go a little farther.
The 1-1 pitch, and he changed speeds, gets a strike call.
Now McGuire has been expanding his strike zone. He's gotten anxious. He's been swinging a lot of pitches out of the zone, both up, which he can't handle, and down in the dirt, which he shouldn't attempt to handle.
Atlanta was very aggressive with him this past weekend, Steve, pitching him up and in with a fastball, low and away with breaking pitches. And it was effective. 1-2 pitch. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3, and Big Mac is the second out of the inning.
Strikeout number 101 for Mac as he goes down. But now we have to face the hottest of the Cardinals for the second time in the first inning. Stevens wanting to get it on the inner portion, and he gave McGuire a hittable pitch. He just swung through it.
Ray Lankford walked on a 3-1 pitch in the first inning. And again, as I mentioned, we are still in the first inning. You're just not used to seeing 3 guys come up for the second time in the same inning. It doesn't happen every night.
Well, Lankford is the 13th hitter here in the first inning.
Runners at first and second. And the 0-1. Missed a little bit inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. It is 8-3 Cardinals in the bottom of the first. The 1-1 pitch. Good movement on that delivery, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Lankford, another man who will strike out. He's fanned 109 times. So he's fanned more than McGuire.
You're looking for that silver lining there, aren't you?
Got to look for something at this point.
And the pitch on the ground, foul, first base side. Well, you know what what Arnie Harris always says at this stage? 8 runs will not win this game tonight.
Might not have to. They also have a few more at bats left.
1 ball, 2 strikes. As you mentioned, there's a long way to go here tonight. in and out of the glove of the catcher Tyler Houston. Still 1-2.
Langford just barely able to stay alive.
This game started what, about 7:10?
Yes, this is a lengthy first inning. One of the longest I've seen without a rain delay.
About 45 minutes.
Seems like an hour and 45 minutes.
The 1-2 pitch. Hit high and deep to right, and it is gone. Ray Langford, 3-run homer, his 20th home run of the season. 3 more on the board for the Cardinals. 11 in the inning. It's 11-3 St. Louis.
Home run number 20, RBI 66, 67, and 68. We told you coming in Langford was the hottest of all the Cardinals. He just showed it up close and personal to Dave Stevens. He got this fastball out over the plate, and Langford hit it a mile. 11 on the board. I got to believe if it's not a Cardinal record in the first inning, it's knocking at the door.
And Ronnie Gant made the first out of the inning for the Cardinals. He looks at a ball low. 20th homer and 68 runs batted in. Ray Langford. Man, oh man. 2 balls and no strikes from Stevens. Stevens had been scored upon only twice at his 17 outings since joining the Cubs. His contract was purchased on June 20th, but tonight all the records are out of the book. Pounding ball to third. Jose backs up on it. Hernandez throw to Grace. Gets by Mark Grace on the scoop attempt. Moving to second base is Ron Gant. So I'd say the comedy of errors continues, but for that man it's been no comedy whatsoever.
It's a rare error on Jose Hernandez, who makes just his 7th of the year. Mark Grace normally scoops these. This ball flattened out under the glove, so Gant winds up at second, and the nightmarish first inning continues. 15th hitter to bat here in the first inning. 11 on the board on 6 hits with 2 errors.
And they don't have a slaughter rule in this league.
You sure this isn't the first quarter?
Fernando Tatis pops it up foul and out of play back toward us. He doubled in a run down the right field line in the first.
Steve Traxel charged with 9 of the runs. I believe 8 of them earned. In a third of an inning on 5 hits, he walked 3. Stevens tagged with the other 2.
No balls, 1 strike, and the pitch. Down low. And it's 1-1. What a start to a very important road trip and a much talked about series here in St. Louis.
Well, this is where you start to go into your rain dance, Wayne.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Unfortunately, the clouds have dissipated considerably from this morning. We had a chance with rain this morning, but
unfortunately it cleared up.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I think we spilled all our rain this morning. We should have saved some for tonight. Jim Riggleman could use a good long shower.
Yeah, about a 4-hour job.
Here's the 1-2. Called strike 3. 15 men come to the plate for the Cardinals. 11 runs for St. Louis, capped by the 3-run home run off the bat of Ray Langford. 11-3 Cardinals, mercifully at the end of 1. One ball, 1 strike the count on Houston. Tyler 7 for 22 in his last 8 games. This is his 32nd start behind the plate. And the 1-1. Chopped on the ground towards short. Ordaz with the play to McGuire, 1 away.
They're not sure if Luis Ordaz is going to be able to hit, but they know that he can pick it at short, and he's got a tremendous arm.
Well, they used to say that about another shortstop who played here. When he came over from San Diego, they weren't quite sure he'd hit enough, but boy, they knew he could field, and that was Ozzie Smith.
Yes, indeed.
There he is right there.
There's a look at the Wizard of Oz. Well, 14 runs in the first, Wayne. Fell 1 run short of the all-time National League record. That was 1952. It was 15 runs combined. Brooklyn was one of the teams. So a 14-run first doesn't happen too often.
You know, the thing about it is the Cardinals only had 6 hits, 11 runs on 6 hits.
Usually that's a good couple of games.
Of course, there were, what, 4 walks in the inning and a couple of errors. Strike 2 pitch misses away, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Manny Alexander. Kent Bottenfield, who worked out of the bullpen and did pretty well for the Cubs over the last couple of years. This one a reach, and he dumps it down the right field line, but right there Jordan able to haul it in, 2 men down.
Houston has added to their lead. They now lead behind Randy Johnson 4-0. That game's still in the 3rd inning.
The big unit going for his 2nd win with the Astros since the big deal. Here's Stevens, and he looks at strike 1.
Dave Stevens getting his first at bat of the year.
And he lifts it foul out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. Well, I don't think your rain dance is going to work, although you're welcome to continue to try between innings.
No, it looks fairly clear right now.
I think the Cubs are going to have to come back on this one. Swinging strike 3, 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs in the top of the 2nd inning. Bottom of the 2nd coming up. Cardinals leading by a whole lot. Believe it or not, 11 runs on 6 hits and 2 errors for the Cards as we go to the bottom of the 2nd.
Very uneventful 2nd for the Cubs as Ken Bottenfield settled down.
Well, I think for the Cubs, in defense of them, I think they were just shell-shocked. Could have taken an inning or 2 to realize, wait a minute, got some work to do here. Eli Marrero, Kent Bottenfield, and Luis Ordaz, the 2 hitters against Dave Stevens. Chopped down the 3rd baseline. Of course, it's a fair ball. Everything down there has been a base hit. On his way to 2nd base, Marrero, the stand-up double.
Early today before batting practice, Dave Parker took Eli Marrero in the batting cage and tried to smooth out his stroke. He wants him to hit a few more ground balls, and it certainly paid dividends right there as he drives it by Jose Hernandez. And now they're going to check on Marrero. Apparently he might have hurt his leg. He's telling Rene Latchman he's okay, but he was favoring that left leg somewhat going into 2nd.
4 doubles in this ball game already for the Cardinals, and again, fans, we're just bottom of the 2nd inning. 6th double of the season for that man. And here's Bottenfield. One thing for sure tonight, Bottenfield's average run support per game will take a huge leap.
Indeed.
And Bottenfield squares to bunt, lays it down the 3rd base side. Hernandez with the play. In time to Morandini covering, and that moves the runner Eli Marrero to 3rd base. So a sacrifice, 5-4.
Maybe Tony La Russa has something with hitting that pitcher in the 8th spot. You do that, you get 11 runs.
You weren't so sure in the bottom of the 1st, but it did work out pretty well.
Yeah, I don't particularly like it, but at least for tonight it's doing okay. But this team is out of the hunt, 7 under 500. So overall, I'm not sure the experiment has worked particularly well.
What you're saying is you can afford to do some unorthodox things, I guess.
At this point, you have to find out about some of your younger players if you have them.
Ordaz is one of those younger players, reached or singled on an infield single.
And the
shortstop of the 1st.
Infield in at all 4 positions. Trying to cut off that all-important 12th run.
Well, like we said, the Cardinals are in an unorthodox season-long situation. The Cubs, at least for this game, maybe the time to gamble a little bit. The infield pitch up high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, as we know, this game means a whole lot more to the Cubs than the Cardinals. However, in this rivalry, which has been intense for many, many years, it usually brings out the best in the team that really has the least to gain by a win.
The 1-1 pitch, low and away, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
I mean, in those great years that the Cardinals had, the Cubs always played them very tough, and if they could beat one team besides the New York Mets, it would be the St. Louis Cardinals if they had their choice.
Cubs and Cardinals, one of the great traditional rivalries in baseball. Of course, perhaps the best is the Yankees and Red Sox, and there is, of course, the Dodgers and Giants out of the West Coast. You saw the Astros score. They're leading 4-0 now, again behind the big unit, Randy Johnson.
He's trying to run his Houston record to 2-0. I would say out of all the additions at the trade deadline, that one will have the most impact.
3 balls and 1 strike on Ordaz. He jammed him and he pops it up into shallow center field. Going back for it, Morandini makes the tough catch. Meanwhile, the runner holds at third. So 2 men down.
Good play by Morandini, and even better play when you consider that he was in on the grass at second base. Hit a long way to go. Brant Brown probably wasn't going to make this play. As Mickey goes back, gets rid of it quickly, knowing that he had Marrero at third. And Morandini makes the catch. Good effort.
Boy, Mickey's had a terrific season both at the plate and in the field. Now Pat Kelly, who reached base twice in the first inning, looks at a strike on the outside corner. Eli Marrero, the runner at third. It's 11-3 Cardinals. We're in the bottom of the second inning. The 0-1. No balls, 2 strikes. Dave Stevens' job in this situation, just hold him here for a few innings. Eat up some innings in this type of situation. That's all they need him to do.
Pick up innings and try to save the bullpen. When your starter leaves in the first inning, then you have to have somebody eat up innings for you.
Swing and a miss through a good fastball. And the Cardinals are retired after getting 11 runs and sending 15 men to the plate in the first inning. The Cardinals strand Eli Marrero at third after a leadoff double. It's 11-3 as we go to the third. And boy, I tell you, they are selling pennants here in great numbers. Mark McGwire pennants, to be sure. Top of the order for the Cubs, Brant Brown, strikeout victim in the first, facing Kent Bottenfield for the second time tonight. As I'm sure many of you Cub fans know, legendary broadcaster, the original voice of the Cubs on TV, Jack Brickhouse, passed away the other day, and funeral arrangements have been announced. Funeral visitation will be held at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home on Dearborn Street in Chicago from 3 to 9 p.m. Monday, August 10th, and Tuesday, August 11th. Funeral services will be held Wednesday, August 12th at 11 a.m. at the St. James Episcopal Cathedral. St. James, located on East Huron in Chicago.
I thought before the game in our half-hour special that Billy Williams and Ron Santo had some very poignant things to say about Jack Brickhouse. Some very nice things about a very kind man and a legendary Hall of Fame broadcaster. And he certainly will be missed.
The 3-1 delivery to Brown. Check swing foul to fill the count at 3-2.
We're not the only team having a problem. Cincinnati is doing just about everything right tonight as they're killing Milwaukee 11-0. That game in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, at least we've got 3 runs on the board. 3-2 pitch. Ball forward. Brant Brown is aboard. If you'd like more information on Jack Brickhouse, don't forget to log on to WGNTV.com. Mickey Morandini comes to the plate. Runner aboard with nobody out. Morandini a single in the first.
Bear in mind, this has been a terrible Cardinal bullpen. So you'd like to get into it as quickly as possible. And I'm not sure Kent Bottenfield could hold down his lineup for the remainder of this evening. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, and a good one, has really struggled with this team this year.
Fly ball left field. Ron Gant makes the catch. One away. Brant Brown back to first.
Chicago Cubs and Jeremy Gonzalez had a couple of medical opinions that seem to be consistent with one another on the right elbow of Jeremy Gonzalez. Both Michael Schaefer and Dr. Louis Yoakum have agreed that there is damage to the ulnar collateral ligament. He's on the 60-day disabled list. They're going to consult with Jeremy and find out just exactly what he wants to do with it. They want all parties involved in this to be consistent in their thoughts of what step to take next. So it's not good news for Jeremy Gonzalez.
Sammy Sosa looks at a pitch outside and low for ball one.
Well, the same treatment they give Mark McGwire, they're giving to Sammy. A lot of light bulbs, a lot of camera flashes flashing when Sammy takes the swing.
1-0 delivery, and that pitch is high and tight. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, now Sammy in a situation that he wants to be. He drew a walk and saw both a 2-0 and a 3-0 pitch.
Checked his swing, takes a strike, and it's 2-1. Minnesota leading Baltimore 5-4. That game is heading to the top of the 4th. Wave and a miss by Sosa, who had a good home run cut there. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Sammy.
Bottenfield keeps this one out away from Sammy.
And there's the guy Sammy is chasing, Mark McGwire. 2 home runs behind the major league leader in homers, McGwire. And a swing and a miss, strike 3.
So both the pursuers have fanned tonight. Sammy with a walk and a run scored. McGwire with a base hit. 2 runs batted in to go with a strikeout. And here's a fastball out away from Sammy. And Bottenfield throws it by him.
2 out with Brant Brown still at first for Mark Grace. Grace a single to left, driving in a run of the first. The Cubs took a 3-0 lead at the top of the first off Bottenfield, helped by 2 Cardinal errors, and Grace looks at strike 1. But that was nothing compared to what happened in the bottom of the frame when the Cardinals threw an 11 spot at Steve Traxel and company. The Cubs helped things along with a couple of errors. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count of Mark Grace. Bottenfield steps off the rubber. Prior to tonight, in the first series between these 2 clubs, Bottenfield out of the bullpen worked an inning and a third against the Cubs, yielding 9 base runners and 5 runs. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Grace. Steve, when you're a pitcher and you've got this kind of a lead, you have to refocus yourself a little bit.
Well, you know you have a long way to go, and you just want to throw strikes. You don't want to walk anybody, and he walked Brown to lead off the inning. But you just as soon throw the ball over the plate and allow the 7 men behind you to try to make some plays. If you're Bottenfield, you know you're not going to go the distance. So you want to get it as late as you can to the bullpen.
2-2 pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 3. Gracie is down, 2 strikeouts in the inning. The Cubs strand a man. Middle of 3 in St. Louis. The former Cub Bottenfield and his Cardinals have a big lead. So far, the hometown fans anyway enjoy an 11-3 lead over the Chicago Cubs, but I can guarantee you there are lots of Cubs fans here, and most of them were in the hotel this afternoon right across the street.
And the ones that weren't will be in the hotel tonight after the game.
Brian Jordan up twice in the first inning, and he rips it down the left field line again. Henry Rodriguez has had a workout out there. Jordan cruises into second base. Second double to left field for Jordan here tonight.
Jordan now 2 for 2, and he is first pitch swinging on a first ball fastball. Dave Stevens gets one right down the middle, and for the 2nd inning in a row, the Cardinals lead off with a double. That's their 5th double tonight.
5 of the 8 hits have been doubles. And one other one was a home run.
We're in the bottom of the 3rd, and once again they're going to try to pat down the dirt around first base.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a pothole working there. That's how much traffic they've had around that bag.
Well, it usually doesn't get this much work in 2 games.
Hey, Cub fans, Thursday. They're both winning tonight.
They both have 8-run leads.
8-0 now, Houston.
Yes, indeed, in the 4th inning.
Whatever happened to those fighting Phillies? Gonna get the commander over there to give him a pep talk. McGuire fouls it straight back at us, just a little bit below our booth. Don't worry, Stoney, I was ready to jump on that for you.
Moises Alou has joined the party along with Jeff Bagwell. He hit a 2-run homer. They've given the big unit an 8-run lead.
No balls and 1 strike. Swing and a miss.
McGuire unhappy with himself because he swung at a pitch that he really can't handle. That's the fastball up. And when he was in a groove earlier this season, he wouldn't even attempt a pitch up there. But we told you lately, he has expanded that zone and he's swinging a lot of pitches that he just can't handle.
No balls and 2 strikes. Tony La Russa gave Mark McGuire the day off in Milwaukee, much to the consternation of the Brewer fans up in Milwaukee who had come to the ballpark to see him play. But it turned out to be a good move. Big Mac had been struggling. He was tired. He not only got Wednesday off, but the Cardinals were off yesterday as well. So McGuire is here tonight on 2 days rest. That's Brian Jordan at second base. Nobody out. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count on McGuire. And it's still 1-2.
Rene Latchman, a very smart third base coach, is nowhere near the coach's box. Now we've seen him down the left field line, but now he's taken another tack, and that is get as close to the Cub dugout as you can. He's on the little cinder track right in front of the Cub dugout.
The 1-2 pitch to McGuire. Got a piece of it to stay alive.
Now there's some umpires that tell Latchman to get in the box, but you are really taking your life in your hands if you do that.
Well, if I'm Brian Gorman, knowing how hard McGuire hits it to the left side, there's no way I ask that man over there on the cinder warning track to get back into that box over there on the right side of your screen. I don't want to be responsible for his life. The 1-2. And McGuire swing and got a piece of it. And boy, I tell you, getting the worst of this at bat is Tyler Houston, who's been nicked a couple of times.
He's not enjoying the at bat. That one hit right off the shin guard, right on the knee of Tyler Houston, it looked like.
Off the ankle, it looked like, right?
Yeah, just got him right above the ankle. And he's going to limp around somewhat. That's twice he's been hit.
Tyler also has those, what I believe they call them knee saver pads on the back of his calves. There they are right there. So you kind of sit right down on that. Gives you a nice little cushion.
Oh, yeah, it's very comfortable back there.
Wonderfully so now. Like sitting in your easy chair at home. 1-2 to McGuire. Fouled back again. When you see a hitter foul it straight back, I guess that means he had his pitch and just missed it by a little bit.
That means he's right on it, and you better make an adjustment.
Well, a couple of McGuire shots have come right back at us.
I would throw a good high fastball just above the Cardinal on his chest. Try to keep it in, and you can throw it by him.
The 1-2 pitch. Down low. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you might throw that fastball right about here now, huh? After wasting 1 low?
I would think so. But make sure you get it in and make sure you get it up.
Absolutely.
If you get it down, McGuire can hit it as far as anybody in the world.
Far as anybody has. 2-2 pitch, and he just did get a piece of that one. Things could be worse, Stoney. I mean, look what the Reds did in the 6th. 12 runs.
Well, I'm not thinking the Brewers are going to catch the Cubs anyway. The Cubs just have to worry about holding off the wild card pursuers.
San Francisco and the Mets.
And maybe catching Houston. But that's going to be a tall order.
2-2 pitch. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
One thing the Cubs know is they do have 9 games left with the Astros. anything less than 6-3 out of those 9, isn't going to look real good.
Nobody out. Brian Jordan out at second, and the payoff to McGuire. Chopped it foul on the third base side.
Looking like a Mickey Morandini at bat. You keep spoiling pitches that you can't hit, and you wait to try to get one you can hit.
And obviously, with a hitter like Mark McGuire, Steve, the deeper you go in the count, the more pitches you see, the more chances you're going to see the pitcher make a mistake. And if he does, this guy can, as you mentioned, send it a long way. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And again, the payoff. Fouled back against the screen.
This could be one of Big Mac's longest at bats, as he's really battled Dave Stevens. This has been a good at bat.
Mark Clark has the chart. He'll pitch tomorrow. That's Scott Service on the left side of your screen. For the umpteenth time, the payoff. High fly ball, but into shallow center field. Brown coming hard, makes the catch. Brant Brown playing a deep center field, as you would expect against Mark McGuire. And Brownie plays a little deeper than most center fielders anyway. Had to come a long way for that one. But he does retire McGuire, who now 1 for 3 tonight.
A long at bat and a long battle, and Dave Stevens wins it.
And here is Ray Langford.
And that home run came against Dave Stevens last inning.
Langford walked against Traxel, and as you mentioned, 3-run shot to right field against Dave Stevens. Langford's 20th homer of the campaign. And he dumps this one inside out, foul down the left field line. Take a look at it again, bottom of the first inning. Oh, got that pitch right over the plate. Langford did not miss it.
402 feet later, the Cubs were down 8.
Jordan aboard at second with 1 out. And the 1-strike pitch. Line to right center field, base hit. This will score Jordan. Cut off by Brant Brown. His throw is into Mickey Morandini and the Cardinals. And another to lead 12-3.
RBI number 69, and Jordan, who has been the hottest of all the Cardinals, continues his red-hot hitting. That's why he is now hitting behind Mark McGuire to give him some protection. So he's 2 for 2 against Dave Stevens with 4 runs batted in. And the Cardinals add to their gaudy lead.
It's twice where you've seen Langford get a pitch right over the heart of the plate from Dave Stevens, and both times he has put it in play. Pitch down low for ball 1 to Ron Gant. Gant 0 for 2 reached on an error in a 2 at bat first inning. Grace plays behind the runner at first. Still only 1 out. Cubs are trailing 12-3. And the pitch. That's in there for a strike call. As we mentioned, Houston has been loading up on Philadelphia. It's now 8-0 in that ball game. In the top of the 5th inning, Randy Johnson, the big unit on the mound for the Stros.
Can't even hope for rain there.
Unless the dome springs a leak. Popped up foul and out of play.
This road trip will culminate with 3 in the dome, and the way the rotation falls, the Cubs will not see Randy Johnson.
Well, that's a positive.
That is a bit of good news.
We have that going for us.
Yes.
One ball, 2 strikes to count on Ron Gant. Gant has overcome serious injury in his career. No swing on that one. It's 2-2.
Well, for a while it looked like his career might be over. He had a motorcycle accident, shattered his leg. Atlanta let him go. Jim Bowden took a chance on him, and he resurrected his career in Cincinnati before coming here and signing a very big free agent contract with the Cardinals.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Fly ball deep to left field. Henry to the warning track, to the wall. It's gone. 2-run homer for Ron Gant. His 18th home run of the season. RBI number 44 and 45.
Come on, rain. Or perhaps the Cardinals will score themselves out in this one. We'll watch it again as Dave Stevens, for the first time this year, has really been pasted by the Cardinals. This line drive home run makes it a whopping score of 14-3.
Pitch up high to Fernando Tatis. Tatis doubled in a run in the first. He scored. He also struck out in that inning. We're in the bottom of the third, and the Cardinals are leading by 11.
This is much more of a football score.
It's
14-3.
I didn't think the Bears started till tomorrow night. Was I a little late in my timing there, or what?
Well, the Broncos play the Rams tomorrow here. And our good friend Les Shapiro is here from Denver covering the Broncos. He's at the game tonight, or at least he was.
He and John Elway are still trying to talk Gary Zimmerman, the great offensive left tackle, the man who Elway would most like to protect him out of retirement. I understand that decision has been sent to the boss, Zimmerman's wife. Meanwhile, the Mets lead Colorado 3-0, and the Mets still batting in the second inning in that ball game. And of course, the Mets came in just 2.5 games back in the wild card chase.
Only one back in the loss column, however.
There's a shot into left field. Henry Rodriguez up with it. And a solid base hit for Fernando Tatis. 4 hits in this inning for the Cardinals. They have scored 3 times.
Phil's either calling the weatherman or the bullpen.
Well,
it appears it's the bullpen.
And there it is.
It's Terry Adams, probably for the earliest time in quite some time. We're in the third, and Adams is up.
It looks a little foggy. Don't adjust your screen. That's the smoke from the cannon after Ron Gant hit his home run, or the fireworks, I should say, that occur here at the stadium. Very little wind. I mean, stuff is just kind of hanging there like haze, isn't it?
Yes.
This would be a good night to play around a golf. I mean, you have no wind problems whatsoever. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Marrero battled back through a cancerous growth that he had to take
Thyroid,
radiation
right?
treatments. Yes. And he is a promising young catcher, born in Havana, Cuba.
The 1-1 delivery. This one lifted to left center field. Browning on the run, not going to get to it. 1 hop and over the wall for a ground rule double. Another double in this ball game for the Cardinals. That's what, about 5 or 6?
6 doubles. And here comes Phil Regan to settle down Dave Stevens as Marrero shows you how strong he is. That was out away, and he crushed it. 1 hop out of the ballpark, putting runners at second and third.
Well, this has been a tough night for anyone who is a Cubs pitcher. Whether you pitch or not, it hurts to watch this one. 14 runs on 12 hits for the Cardinals, and we're not even out of the third, and already Terry Adams is up in the pen.
I always told you had great timing. You see, you come down for this one. You miss some good ones, you come down and do this one.
You know, somebody's got to be here for it. Chip Caray always had better timing than I did, and he picked a good night to be on assignment, I would have to say.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Kent Bottenfield up for the 3rd time tonight. Well, the way this one's going, he may equal his number of at-bats for the season in this game.
Well, they did make a mistake. If they charged him with an at bat the first time, it should have been a sacrifice and an error, because it would have been a successful bunt. The only play would have been to first base, and
I believe that's what they did. Bounding ball, foul, fielded by Jose Hernandez in foul territory. I believe that's how they scored it. So actually, he hasn't been official at bats.
Right, he has
plate
2 sacrifices tonight.
Yeah, plate appearance is more of what I was thinking about, because they gave him an RBI on that play and then moved to second on the error, reached on the error actually. Well, I tell you what, that was a scorer's workout in that first inning, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Some strange plays. Yeah, the ball bouncing off ankles and throws in the dirt. Yeah, the ball, I mean, Manny Alexander made a nice field, nice play on a bounding ball to short, and made the flip to second, and it popped out of his hand.
Most doubles in one game, 13. St. Louis versus the Cubs back in 1931.
2 pitch and a wave and a miss. First strike 3, 2 men down.
See, I told you the pitcher in the 8th spot's a bad spot. Look, you had a chance to drive in a few runs. Look what happened.
Yeah, right. 1 time out of 3 tonight, it doesn't work. And you're all over it. Well, here is Luis Ordaz. He singled in a run of the first. Popped out to second base in the second inning. Mets leading 6-0, still batting in the second inning.
Probably some good news for the Mets, bad news for the Rockies is that Todd Hundley's favorite park to hit in is Coors Field. And he is starting to swing the bat pretty well again after a season lost to injury and rehab. And Todd Hundley, along with Piazza, make that a pretty good offense, an offense that struggled, and their bullpen has been terrible of late. So still a long way to go in that one, only the second inning.
Grace gobbles it up and retires Ordaz. Cardinals get 3 more in the third, and they lead big over the Cubs, 14-3. Lead into the bottom of the first inning.
And don't adjust your sets. It really is 14-3. And the scary part, Wayne, is that Greg Maddux has completed games in just about the time it's taken for us to move into the 4th inning.
Well, that first inning took the better part of 50 minutes. First inning alone. Henry Rodriguez leads it off here in the top of the 4th for the Cubs. Here's a look at what he's done here tonight. 1 ball, no strikes. Kent Bottenfield got all the runs he may need to work with. I wonder if he could make a 14-3 lead stand up. What do you think? Let's hope not. The 1-1 delivery. 2 balls and 1 strike. And the 2-1. And after a bad pitch, 2-2. Cardinals, coming into this series, were just 3 home runs short of their single season record of 144 home runs. They put a few on the board here tonight. And the 2-2 delivery. Bottenfield changing speeds. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Kevin Tapani threw a brilliant game last time out against Arizona as he outdueled Omar Dahl.
Omar Dahl pitched a couple of brilliant games against the Cubs over the last couple of weeks.
Well, Mark Grace was saying that he's really amazed they were able to beat Dahl as well as he was throwing, but it took a brilliant effort by Tapani to beat him. Cubs scoring 2 in the 8th and winning 2-0.
The payoff. Into shallow center field. Langford started back on it and then had to make up ground and did. 1 away. Ray Langford having some kind of second half of the season for these St. Louis Cardinals. Jose Hernandez lined into a double play to Mark McGwire to end the top of the 1st. If you're a Cub fan and you're just tuning in, none of the news is good. No balls and 1 strike. But there's always next time. And our next telecast on WGN Sunday from beautiful Busch Stadium in St. Louis, 1 o'clock Central Time on WGN Sports. Houston is winning behind Randy Johnson. The Mets are winning in the early going of their game. And the Cubs are losing to the Cardinals big, 14-3. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Jose Hernandez. And it's 1-2. Took a while for every seat in the house to fill, but in fact it appears every seat is filled.
Well, they expect to have 50,000 plus here tonight. See the showdown with McGuire and Sosa. And there are a lot of folks at the top of this huge bowl.
The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss for strike 3, and Bottenfield really beginning to handcuff the Cubs now. Well, you mentioned the crowds, and the Cardinals, they were telling me they're expecting to draw over 3 million this season. Now obviously a lot of that can be attributed to Mark McGuire and his chase of Roger Maris's single season home run record. But you know, the other factor is this, Steve. This is just a great baseball town.
Always has been. The Mets have added to that lead, by the way. They lead 7-0 in the second.
Tyler Houston, the hitter. 1 ball, no strikes. 5 strikeouts now for Bottenfield. To McGuire at first, and the Cubs go quietly in the 4th. St. Louis 14-3 in the middle of the 4th. Full inning of work as the Cardinals have a 14-3 lead over the Cubs. Here's a look at Dave. He's given up a couple of homers in this game.
To send birthday greetings to Trifon Panopoulos at the Missouri Bar and Grill. Trifon Panopoulos.
From
Sharon Panazzo.
All right, Trifon, happy birthday. Swing and a miss by Kelly as he leads off the Cardinal half of the 4th. Well, the Astros loading it on. Bagwell, a solo home run, will be in Houston next week. This is the road trip that many feel might provide the fork in the road for the Cubs. There's a chopper out toward the mound. Stevens to Grace, 1 away. 3 games here in St. Louis, and regardless of the outcome of tonight, all is not lost on the road trip in 1 game. But then 3 in San Francisco and 3 more in Houston before the Cubs come back home seeking revenge against these Redbirds, with the Giants and Stros to follow. So this is really you look at this, these are the teams you're playing: Houston, San Francisco in wild card competition. Certainly for the division, Houston, but San Francisco closest pursuer in the wild card. It's a very important stretch, a couple of weeks for the Cubs.
And a lot of red, as you saw. Those are the away games that the Cubs have to endure during the month of August.
Jordan to center field. Brown on the run. 2 away.
Happy birthday to Elizabeth Hull, her 69th birthday today. She's here with 14 of her family members. They're from Vermont and Oregon, and she's here to see the Cubs win, but a long way to go till that happens.
See, and you were giving me all kinds of trouble for coming all the way down here from Chicago to see this game, and she came all the way from Oregon. Here's Mark McGuire. McGuire 1 for 3, a single. He drove in 2 runs with that single to right field in the first, and he looks at strike 1. Well, there's 17 runs of this game, and neither one of these guys hit a home run. Now, as Arnie Harris might say, what are the odds of that happening? 0-1 delivery and a wave and a miss, and again it looked like a pitch low and away out of the strike zone.
Last time the Cubs gave up more than 11 runs in 1 inning was way back in 1985 to Montreal. They scored 12.
The 0-2 to McGuire, and it's up high, 1-2. McGuire has been stuck on 45 home runs for better than a week since July 28th. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Almost offered at that one, and it's 2-2. See what that Band-Aid is there? 545 feet. That's the longest home run they say was ever hit in this ballpark.
And that's the straightaway center field, and it's hard to believe anybody could hit the ball up there, but Mark McGwire did.
Popped it up foul behind home plate, not a play. Well, who's cleaning up in baseball? Brought to you by Hoover. Home runs against right-handed pitching. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa top the leaderboard. Two balls, two strikes, two out, nobody out. Ooh, he took a close one. Stevens thought he had it. 3-2 the count on McGwire. McGwire's last at bat, he battled Dave Stevens one foul ball after another. At 3-2, then flew out to center field. Here's the payoff. Swing and a miss, strike three, and the inning is over. McGwire strikes out for the second time tonight. He's 1 for 4 with a 2-run single to the first. McGwire and Sosa have gone home. Boy, all these Cardinals have been to the plate 3 and some 4 times already tonight. This is only Manny's second trip to the plate. And a base hit to left field. That's the first hit since the first inning for the Cubs.
Jeff Blauser is going to come on to pinch hit. In his last 3 pinch hitting rolls, he has 2 hits and a walk.
Well, let's see if Jeff can get the Cubs a runner into scoring position. Stevens got the Cubs what the better part of 3 2/3 innings. The better part of 4 innings in this game. And Steve Traxel, his shortest outing of the season, went just a half inning. No balls and 1 strike the count on Blauser. There's Phil Regan talking with Dave Stevens. Pitch is fouled back and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. (14-3) Cardinals in the top of the 5th inning. Manny Alexander aboard at first. Jeff Blauser in a pinch hitting role. Nobody out. Fly ball into right field. This one carrying a bit to the warning track. Over the shoulder grab made by Brian Jordan. And sensational catch by Brian Jordan. And back to first base just in time, Manny Alexander. My goodness, that ball kept carrying toward the 372 mark.
Great play by Jordan. And even in an 11-run game, Jordan giving you everything he's got. He goes all the way back to the wall and at the last instant reaches up and hauls it in. And then Manny Alexander has to hustle back to stop from getting doubled off. So Jordan, not only a great catch, but the presence of mind to get it back in quickly. And Manny did get back in time. Great play by Jordan.
Brant Brown, the hitter, 0 for 1. He walked in the 3rd. Swings through a fastball up and in. No balls and 1 strike.
Evan and Andrew Shea at the ballpark tonight.
And here's the pitch. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Manny Alexander at first, 1 out. Top of the 5th inning. This one well stroked to right field, but right at Jordan. And he puts it away for out number 2. So Brant Brown retired for the 2nd time tonight, and it brings up Mickey Morandini. Morandini singled in the 1st. He flied to left in the 3rd. Fly ball center field. So Bottenfield got 3 fly ball outs. And the Cubs go quietly after a leadoff single by Manny Alexander. Middle of the 5th. St. Louis leads big. Identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Don't forget tonight on WGN News following the game, the latest on the embassy explosions in Africa, plus more on the memorial service for the late Cubs announcer Jack Brickhouse on the WGN News following the game.
Terry Adams comes into this one. He's the third pitcher. Stevens went 3 2/3, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, a walk and 5 strikeouts. So Adams takes over, and he's on for the 52nd time, a 7-6 record, a 3.66 ERA.
And he faces Ray Langford, Ron Gant, and Fernando Tatis for the Cardinals. On the ground to Grace. And he leads Adams. No, he doesn't. Takes it himself. One assist, ground ball to Grace unassisted, and 1 away. Steve, I don't want to cast aspersions on your rain dance that you have done every inning since the Cardinals scored 11 in the first.
Didn't work.
8 in the first. The moon is out now, which means I would imagine that it's a pretty clear sky out here in St. Louis.
And it is a full moon. That maybe accounts for all the early fireworks.
Or maybe it means the Cubs will come back and win this one. Stranger things have happened under a full moon, I want to tell you. But not much.
Well, when it was 9-0, Milwaukee felt the same way. And now it's 17-0.
Sometimes it keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
Yes, Cincinnati just killing the Brewers. 17-0. That last field goal sealed the deal.
Yes, I would say so. By now, all the rookies and free agents are in the game. Fly ball down the right field line, foul it out of play. Ron Gant is on, and this is Ron Gant in the 3rd inning. My goodness.
Line drive rocket. Stevens gave up both the Cardinal home runs.
142 home runs hit by the Cardinals now this season, and that ties the Cubs among the National League leaders in team home runs. The Cardinals are only 2 off their all-time home run pace for a single season. 3 balls and 1 strike in Ron Gant. You know, this has been, this is a treat to be here tonight. Atlanta leads the way as home runs with 153. It's a treat to see the leading home run hitters on the field tonight. This is a towering fly ball. Boy, if this doesn't bring rain, nothing will. Brant Brown comes in to make the catch, and they're 2 men down, and so far nary a raindrop to be had. But think about this. We've got Sosa and McGuire, the 2 leading home run hitters in Major League Baseball. Can you imagine what it must have been like in 1961 when you had Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris chasing Babe Ruth in the same lineup every day?
61 and 54 they hit combined. It's going to take a whole lot of hitting for a twosome on the same team to match that. And probably A-Rod and Griffey Jr. as teammates will lead the way this year. But Henry and Sammy have a chance as teammates to get close at least.
1 ball, no strikes the count on Tatis, and the count even at 1-1. Take a look what they're chasing. Babe Ruth had 60 and 59 home runs. To think he was a pitcher. He started out as a pitcher.
Yes, indeed. And the Cub record 56 by Hack Wilson.
The 1-1 delivery. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, there's been a tremendous revival, as we all know, in Major League Baseball over the course really of the last couple of seasons, and a lot of it has to do with the home run ball. And if you think back to the 20s when the game was struggling a little bit back then, Babe Ruth helped to revive it with the home run ball. The long ball has always been the trump card for baseball. Brant Brown is going to track this one in front of the warning track. He makes the catch in right center field. 3 up, 3 down for the Cardinals in the 5th. We're going to the 6th with St. Louis on top 14-3. 43 is the guy who leads off the top of the 6th for the Cubs, Sammy Sosa.
Got a trivia question for you, Wayne. Who do you think's leading in Cardinal history home runs here at Busch Stadium?
Enos Slaughter?
No. And it's not the man at first base, Mark McGuire, although he's getting close.
I think wouldn't be Orlando Cepeda. He didn't play here long enough. The 1-0 pitch, and this one hit toward the gap, left center field, but not deep enough. Coming on for it, Langford makes the catch. One away.
I will not keep you in suspense any longer. It's none other than Ted Simmons.
Oh, yes. Long-time Cardinal catcher, sure.
Hard to believe, but it is.
Ted Simmons played here, what, the 70s and 80s, early 80s?
And if you don't think it's hot here, look at the hat of Kent Bottenfield.
Mark Grace, the hitter, singled in 2 trips. 1 ball, no strikes. All-time Cardinal home run hitters. Stan Musial leading the way. Ken Boyer was a slick fielding third baseman.
I like Stan's chances to stay at the top of that list.
Well, considering
for a long
McGuire's
time.
34 years old.
Yeah, he's not going to get close.
Kent Bottenfield, 1 ball, 1 strike on Grace. And he got a pitch up in the zone and drills it to the gap in left center field. Cut off by the left fielder Ron Gant. Grace trying to hustle for 2, and he's in sliding safely. Mark Grace with his 27th double of the season. 2nd hit of the night.
Mark Grace 2 for 3 tonight. As this slider stays up in the zone, and Mark Grace hustling in at second base.
So Gracie continues his hot hitting, and it brings up Henry Rodriguez.
Felix Heredia throwing in the pen.
And you get a look at one of the new acquisitions in the Cubs bullpen. 22 years old. There he is. Henry, first pitch, fly ball, right center field, but Langford has room, makes the catch. Grace tags, and they're going to move him on to third. So Rodriguez does get the runner over to third, 2 men down. And as you mentioned, Steve, they'll run on the arm of Ron Gant left, even Ray Langford in center. He's just average out there, but Brian Jordan has a good arm in right field.
Well, he's a complete player, and that would be a big loss for this team. Now, they do have John Mabry, but this was a very high payroll team coming in to this season. There's a look at Mabry, who can play a little first, some third on occasion, but he's a pretty good outfielder, and he will fill the spot if Jordan does indeed leave.
Jose Hernandez fouls it straight back for strike 1. Well, it goes to show you, Steve, that when you get right down to it, and this team has a couple of guys who are having great offensive seasons, but when you lose an Alan Bennis and a Donovan Osborne will pitch here tomorrow. Some other people.
Morris was not available to this team till just recently.
You lose starting pitching at the top of the season, you're not going anywhere. You just can't afford to lose starters.
Well, that's one of the great miracles of Houston. They lost 60% of their starting rotation from last year. Darryl Kyle went to Colorado. Holt and Garcia, 2 of their starters last year, both hurt for the entire season. So they had to completely revamp their whole starting rotation.
Here's the 2-strike pitch. Jose hits it down the right field line. Jordan on the run. Does he have room? Yes, he does, and makes the catch up against the wall. Cardinal outfield has gotten a workout in these last 2 innings. They have made all 6 putouts in the last 2 frames. Bottom of the 6th coming up with the Cardinals leading big. Felix Heredia is the 4th Cubs pitcher here tonight. Steve Traxel didn't get very far in this one, and that's why the Cubs are losing big.
Just 1/3 of an inning for Steve Traxel tonight. He didn't have it, but the Cardinals do indeed have it. They've just pasted the Cubs, and it's one of those games, Wayne, that you hope to get out of your system starting your most important road trip of the year. Houston is all over Philadelphia. They're going to win. The Cubs are probably going to fall 6 back in the loss column. 5.5 back overall, and this is not the way you wanted to start it off.
Not at all. Eli Marrero leads it off here in the bottom of the 6th for the Cardinals. Leaf. One ball, no strikes the count, and here's the pitch to Marrero. Marrero fouls it off.
Last time we saw Felix, he came in with the bases loaded and gave up a base hit. So he'll get a chance to start this inning as Rene Latchman makes some friends Felix 0-3, ERA 5.27, on for the 43rd time combined between the Cubs and Florida.
Base hit left field. So the Cardinals add to their hit total.
From the left field camera, we'll take a look at a rocket of a base hit. Marrero now 3 for 3. You can tell why they're very high on this youngster.
"13 hits for the Redbirds tonight. Kent Bottenfield, see if he moves along the runner. He's had 2 successful sacrifices tonight. Takes the pitch outside for ball 1.
Left-handers hitting just about 180 against Felix, so he does very well against them. But I would assume with an ERA in the 5.30s that the right-handers hit him fairly well.
Base hit right field.
That's just the 2nd hit of the year for Bottenfield.
Back-to-back singles by Marrero and Bottenfield. Hey, female Cub fans, you need a new outfit for your Barbie? Well, this is your chance, because Sunday, August 23rd is Mattel Cubs Barbie Fashion Avenue Day at Wrigley Field. First 10,000 females attending the Cubs Astros game will receive this cool Cubs outfit for their Barbie. Compliments of Target and August Battaglia. For tickets, stop by the Wrigley box office or call 312-831-CUBS.
And let us stress again that it is not the Barbie doll, but the Barbie outfit. Next year they will be having a Barbie doll day. That promises to be quite a day.
Something to look forward to.
And when you're losing 14-3, you have to look forward to a lot of different things.
Indeed you do.
Like that next Sunday telecast.
Yes, indeed. That's coming up at 1 o'clock Central Time here on WGN. Pitch taken up high by Luis Ordaz. Felix Heredia has come on and given up back-to-back single to Marrero to left field, Bottenfield to right field. Cardinals now 14 hits in this game. And here's the 1-0. Got him in some high gas that time. It's 1-1.
This one up and out of the zone, and one of the things that Dave Parker told me about Ordaz was it's too many fly balls for a little man. He's trying to get him to swing down on the ball. If he keeps swinging pitches up there, he's going to have some problems.
The 1-1. Swung through that delivery. It's 1-2.
92-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone, and Ordaz couldn't catch up to it.
Pitching matchup tomorrow. I mentioned Donovan Osborne, the left-hander coming off the injured list for the Cardinals, and Mark Clark will get the call for the Cubs. Clark and Tapani have pitched pretty well since the All-Star break, haven't they?
Tapani has a pretty good record, pitched by far his best game last time out.
Clark's had a couple of good starts since the All-Star break.
Really, Steve Traxel has been awfully tough. And Kerry Wood with a tough time out last time out. That's going to happen to anyone. Kerry says that the arm is fine, just a little tired, and at least at this point he will make his next start. That coming against the Giants in San Francisco in what is going to be a whale of a series. He'll go head-to-head with Oral Hershiser.
Tatis with the 2-2. Popped it up on the first base side over the Cardinal dugout into the first row of seats. And a nice play made by the fan.
In fact, that Giants series, Kevin Tapani against Russ Ortiz, then Kerry Wood against the ageless wonder Oral Hershiser, and Steve Traxel against Kirk Reeder on Wednesday. We will be coming to you on WGN Tuesday at 2:30 Central Time with a Kerry Wood Oral Hershiser matchup.
Marrero at second base, Bottenfield at first. Nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Lined into right field, a base hit. Sosa up with it. This one hit too hard to try to score Marrero. And the Cardinals have loaded him up on 3 straight singles off Felix Heredia.
Well, we told you that Felix has some problems with the right-handers, and this team is entirely right-handed tonight. So this slider stays up and out of the zone. And Luis Ordaz with his second hit. Now Jim Riggleman out, trying to settle down his young left-hander, just 22 years old. And he's got to go to the top of the order. And there's not a left-hander till the fourth spot in Ray Langford.
Pat Kelly's been busy tonight. Kelly, as we mentioned, has hit pretty well for the Cardinals since coming over in a transaction with the Toronto organization. He's also fielded very well at second base. Delano DeShields, the regular second baseman here, expected to come off the injured list perhaps as early as Sunday, but more probably sometime next week. Kelly gone fishing on that one. Swing and a miss for strike one.
Well, that time Felix changed speeds on him, and that one sunk away. That was a pretty good pitch. The way Kelly's fielding, I'm not sure if there's a lot of pressure to bring Delano DeShields back anytime before he's 100%.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tonight's game snaps Traxel's 5-game winning streak. He had won 5 in a row over 6 starts with 1 no decision. Pitch taken outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
One thing Felix did have some trouble with in his stint with the Florida Marlins was control. 32 walks in 42 innings. And no place to put Kelly. So you'd like to turn a double play if you could get it here.
They might. Hernandez coming home for 1. No play at first as Kelly beat any potential throw down the first base line. He really hightailed it down that line. The base is still loaded and now 1 out.
Jose coming home with it from the left field camera. And you thought about 2 with a 5-2-3 double play, but Kelly is very fast and no chance at all for Tyler Houston. So now a double play gets you out of the inning, and the best man to hit into a double play, Jordan, has hit into 16 of them.
That's got to be close to the National League lead, doesn't it? 16 double plays.
Knocking at the door, probably.
In the team picture somewhere. Tatis, I should say, I was thinking about Fernando Tatis on that left side of the Cardinal infield. You take a look at some of the new players. Ordaz at shortstop, Kelly at second base. They've redone the infield in the last month or so. 1 ball, no strikes the count on Jordan, and he goes fishing and a delivery out of the zone. Jeff Cirillo has 19 ground ball double plays. He leads the way in the National League in that dubious category. Jeff Cirillo of Milwaukee.
And with the bases loaded, Jordan has been pretty good. But maybe not this time.
He drives it down the left field line. This is trouble. 1 hop and over the wall for a ground rule double that'll score 2 more. Bottenfield and Ordaz come home to score. Kelly moves to third. Brian Jordan's in with a 2-run double.
That's the 3rd double of the night for Jordan. He's now driven in 66. Felix Heredia getting pasted here. This is a bomb. Would have scored 3, but it hops out of the ballpark.
So the Cardinals lead it 16-3. And here's Big Mac. 2-run single in the first. He has struck out twice in 3 trips to the plate since then. 1 ball, no strikes. 7 doubles for the Cardinals here tonight. Wow. 2 home runs.
Wow, indeed.
They have
16 hits, 16 runs.
They have torn the cover off the ball.
Notice with McGuire up, the infield is not in.
No, not even close. Show us the outfield, Arnie, if you can. Look at where Brant Brown is. He's almost standing on the street outside the center field wall. The third base coach is back at our hotel. 2-0 pitch is up high, and McGuire not offering of these deliveries out of the strike zone.
Yeah, you're going to see a standing boo for Felix Heredia if he doesn't get the ball over to McGuire. You would think he'd have the 3-0 green light here.
Well, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
I'd certainly give it to him. Why not? Take my shot. 3 balls, no strikes. Ball 4.
And the boos cascade as they want to see Big Mac swing the bat. And Willie McGee will come on for Ray Langford. The switch hitter is one of the most popular players in Cardinal history, and probably the most popular player on this team. He is a beloved man in this town, and they give him a standing ovation just for a plate appearance.
McGee is a pinch hitter, 7 for 32 with 3 runs batted in. 1 out, bases loaded. No balls and 1 strike. You know, nice to see them get Ray Langford out of there. He was 2 for 3, scored 3 runs, knocked in 4, had a home run. I think that's plenty of damage for one night.
I think that he has done enough.
Yep. Here's the 0-1, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. When you take a look at this.
As a pinch hitter, Willie McGee 5th on the active list. Lenny Harris, who earlier went to the Mets in a trade, is 3rd.
The 1-1 pitch. Line, leaping Graham Alexander, and the play to Morandini to double up the runner at second base, Brian Jordan. So the inning ends suddenly. The Cardinals add 2 more and add to their already hefty advantage. But a nice play right here by Manny Alexander to quell this rally. Ray Langford, 16 runs on 16 hits for these Redbirds here tonight. Tyler Houston leads it off for the Cubs in the top of the 7th inning, and the pitch down low for ball 1. Rangers lead the Bo Sox 4-3 in the 6th. Martinez on 5 innings struck out 11.
Rangers very active before the trade deadline, and the Angels chose to do very little. And the Rangers have the lead, and let's see if they can hold it.
On the ground to the second baseman Kelly. 1 away. Well, the Rangers, or I should say the Angels, did extend the contract of their manager before the trading deadline.
Yes, indeed.
That's a move.
It sure is. And the Rangers got Todd Stottlemyre.
Royce Clayton.
And they got Royce Clayton.
And Todd Zeile.
And Todd Zeile.
They reconstructed the left side of that infield. 1 out, nobody on for Manny Alexander. A single and 2 trips against Bottenfield. This is a week in which the Cubs may go down to defeat to 2 of their former pitchers.
Maury Telemaco and Kent Bottenfield. Hard to believe that you could lose to those 2 fellas in a week, but it appears that that's exactly what's going to happen. In that game, Cubs went down 10-7 to Telemaco and the resurgent Diamondbacks, who beat Montreal in Montreal tonight. And of course, this is just an old-fashioned whooping.
I could tell you what the ball players would call this game, but I don't think I can do that on over-the-air television.
Houston did indeed shut out Philadelphia behind Randy Johnson. They won 9-0.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count on Alexander. And that's fouled back and out of play. We saw an intentional walk earlier tonight, Steve, and from email, question is raised. Why doesn't a pitcher just illegally blow on his hand or touch his hand to his mouth 4 times? That's a ball each time he does that.
He can do that.
That would save the potential for that little toss to get away. On the ground is short. Ordaz to McGuire, 2 away.
Well, that is indeed true. But that ball does get away so very few times that they go with the traditional 4 pitches outside most all the time.
So to be a pinch hitter coming up for the pitcher, Heredia. Sandy Martinez, the hitter.
1 inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, and a walk for Felix Heredia in 1 inning of work. And the Cubs will go to their 5th pitcher.
Going to look at Sandy's numbers this season. And he's down to the count 0-2. Karchner warming up. He'll be coming on.
Meanwhile, Bottenfield has held the Cubs to just 4 hits.
Tell you what, Kent Bottenfield, as I mentioned before, has pitched very well as a starting pitcher for these Cardinals and surprised everybody here. Still 1-2 the count.
Well, they've used him all over, Wayne. I mean, he's done everything for this team. He has 4 saves. He's started now 12 times, and he's been used in the middle, so he's done just about everything.
He's gone 6 innings plus in 7 of his last 8 starts. Actually, 8 of his 11 starts coming into this game, he's gone 6 innings or better. And when you have a bullpen like the Cardinals have, well, that's an important, impressive figure. You need your starter to get into the 7th and 8th inning.
And that's been the reason these Cardinals will be 6 under 500 is the fact that their pitching staff just dissolved in the starting rotation.
Sandy Martinez draws a walk. The second walk issued by Bottenfield. Well, if you're interested in talking to us through email, and I know a lot of you are tuned in. I mean, after all, we've got the doctor of download here, Mr. Steve Stone. There's a look at the email address, CubsTV@interaccess.com. Runner on first, 2 out, and Brant Brown the hitter. Brownie has been on base once in 3 trips.
Bullpen up and going for the Cardinals for the first time.
And this one golfed into right field, falls in front of the oncoming Brian Jordan, who makes the pickup. Base hit for Brownie. It's only the 5th hit off Bottenfield.
The 5th hit and the first for Brant Brown as he gets this one off the end of the bat and dumps it into right field.
Mickey Morandini stepping to the plate. He singled his first trip and retired on fly balls the next 2 times up.
Chris King loosening up in the bullpen.
It's ball 1. Runners at first and second for the Cubs and 2 men down. Dave Duncan making his way, the pitching coach of the Cardinals, out to the mound.
I just think that he wants to see if Kent has anything left. It's a very humid night here. It's not as oppressive as some August evenings we've seen in St. Louis, but it is humid. And it's been a very long game for Bottenfield. So he probably is telling him, look, this is probably going to be it for you, so give me whatever you've got. And if you can't do it, we'll go to King or probably bring him in next inning anyway.
Kids Foot Locker is going to send you to the Cubs home game on Saturday, August 22nd. Head to Kids Foot Locker for details on how to. For the Kids Foot Locker location nearest you, call 1-800-613-KIDS. 1 ball, 1 strike the countdown. Morandini. And it's 2-1. The Yankees beat Kansas City in the first of a twin bill. And my goodness, they're winning 14-2 in the nightcap. I believe that's a final. Fly ball into shallow left field, coming on for it, Gant, and he makes the catch. Bottenfield gets out of the 7th inning unscathed. No runs, a base hit, no errors. The Cubs lead 2. Matt Karchner.
No record, A 20-25 ERA. That's what happens in just 3 appearances when you have a rough outing. He's on for the 4th time. 5 hits in an inning and a third. A couple of walks, 3 strikeouts.
Had some good defense here tonight, Stoney.
Ryan Jordan's been terrific in right field, making a great catch there and another one there. So despite the early problems where both teams made a couple of errors in the 1st inning, they've done pretty well after that, and that leaping catch in the double play saved Heredia any more damage in the 6th inning.
And Ron Gant leads it off. Gant hit his 18th homer earlier tonight. 1 ball, no strikes, the count. We are in the bottom of the 7th inning here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the start of a 3-game series between the Cubs and Cardinals, and better than 47,000 on hand for the opener. Karchner acquired from the White Sox July 29th in exchange for minor league pitcher John Garland. Check to swing, takes it up high.
Nieves has gone in at short, and that shifts Manny Alexander to second.
Three balls, 1 strike.
Tyler Houston has moved to first base, and Mark Grace and Mickey Morandini are out of the ball game.
Sandy Martinez stays in the game behind the plate. He pinch hit earlier. And the payoff. Called strike 3. Boy, that was a generous outside corner, my friend.
That's called the 16-3 let's get out of here call.
Yes.
Ron Gant can't believe it. This one way outside, way low, and Ron Gant is the victim of a late inning route call.
Well, Ronnie, in some leagues they have slaughter rules, but not in this one. You'll have to give up that at bat for the cause. There's an afternoon game tomorrow, and these umpires know it.
And an early game.
Yes. Fernando Tatis, the hitter.
Cincinnati held on to win 17-0, murdering Milwaukee. The Mets still leading 7-2 at Colorado. That game in the bottom of the 5th, but a long way to go in that one, especially at Coors Field. But don't write the Mets in the win column quite yet.
Matt Karchner. 2 balls and 1 strike, the count. Tatis hammers it foul.
And in another game the Cubs will be very interested in later on, Atlanta in San Francisco, in a very big series for the Cubs as the Cubs visit the Giants next, and they are right in the thick of the wild card race.
Giants just 2 games behind the Cubs in that wild card race starting tonight. Down the right field line, and this one drops into fair territory for a base hit. Tatis rounds first. He's heading to second, and he's in standing up.
With yet another double.
8 doubles now for the Cardinals tonight.
Inside out swing, and the 3rd hit of the night for Fernando Tatis. He's 3 for 5. He's got excellent speed. And they paid a high price for him. Todd Stottlemyre and Royce Clayton for Oliver and Tatis.
Aaron Oliver, a starting pitcher, youngster.
And we'll see him on Sunday.
8 doubles, as I mentioned, for the Cardinals. And here is Eli Marrero. Boy, has he been busy tonight. He walked and scored in the 1st. He doubled in the 2nd, doubled again in the 3rd, and singled in the 6th. There is Tatis at second base. 1 ball, no strikes, the count. In the air, right field has some carry to it, but he got under it. Sosa at the warning track makes the catch, and the tag by Tatis. He moves comfortably into 3rd. 2 men down.
Tom Lampkin is going to come on to hit for Kent Bottenfield, whose night is done. And Bottenfield was pretty tough after that first inning. He went 7. Gave up 3 runs on 5 hits.
And Tom Lampkin, a catcher, is a 3 for 14 hitter as a pinch hitter with a homer and an RBI. And here's the pitch, hit on the ground to the right side. Manny Alexander now installed at second, plays attack. Houston, the inning is over. Cardinals, no runs, a base hit, no errors. They strand a man. End of 7, 16-3 St. Louis.
I think that's Polanco at second base.
Polanco at second, a place of Kelly. Gaetti at first. And Tom Lampkin is the new catcher, and Curtis King is on the mound in relief of Kent Bottenfield.
Curtis King at 2-0, ERA 3.57, on for the 30th time. And there you look at the numbers, and the first man he's going to look at is Sammy Sosa. King has given up 4 home runs in 40 innings. Sammy will be trying to make it 5.
So McGuire is out of the ball game, did not hit a home run in this contest here tonight, so he's still at 45. And Sammy Sosa with 43 home runs looks at ball 1.
One of the great names in baseball, Placido Polanco at second base.
Sammy hits this a mile high on the right side. Gaetti in foul territory makes the catch.
But that one stayed up there forever, and Gary happy it finally came down.
The senior producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. Tonight's game produced by Pete Toma. The commander, Pete Toma. Our associate producer, John Walgren. Kim Fields is the coordinating producer, and the executive producer of WGN Sports is Bob Vorwald. One of those nights for Jim Riggleman. Jose Nieves for the Cubs, up for the first time tonight, hits it on the ground to short. 2 men down.
Fortunately, it only counts 1 game, and the Cubs will be right back at it very early tomorrow to take on the Cardinals again, hoping that perhaps Philadelphia can defeat Houston in Houston and they can get that game back they will have lost this evening.
Things are tightening considerably in that wild card race.
Mark Clark will go against Donovan Osborne, just off the disabled list, so they don't know what they're going to get from him.
1 ball, no strikes. And here's the pitch to Henry, and it's 2-0. Well, again, San Francisco came up just 2 games behind the Cubs tonight. Coming into tonight's game, the Mets only 1 back in the loss column. New York 2.5 behind overall, and leading at Colorado 7-2. That game in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Now it is 7-6, Wayne. So Colorado coming back.
Things happen quickly up there, don't they?
Well, we told you that there's a long way to go, and especially in that ballpark. So Colorado has a chance to perhaps defeat the Mets, and then there would be no ground lost in the wild card to them for the moment, as Henry draws a walk, and the news will follow the ball game immediately.
That's right, or another way put, pretty fast after this game we'll get to the news. About as quick as we can do it.
With this score, as fast as we can get out of here.
2 out, 1 on. And there's a strike. Jose Hernandez. First score from San Francisco. The Braves have picked up 2 in the top of the first. Chipper Jones, solo home run. Lampkin with the block. 2 veterans behind the plate for the Cardinals, in Lampkin and Pagnazzi, and then you've got the youngster Eli Marrero, and he looks like he's going to be a good one.
And Pagnazzi's really had a lot of arm problems, and unfortunately for him it's been his throwing arm. But they feel Marrero is going to be here for a long time.
2 balls, 1 strike as Curtis King struggles a bit with the strike zone. 2 out with a runner on first and Henry Rodriguez.
Let's look at Tom Pagnazzi, who for years was one of the best defensive catchers around.
Good baseball man. 2-1 delivery is lifted foul down the right field line, out of play.
The last couple of years have been pretty much injury filled for him. Last year he could only appear in 25 games for the Cardinals and made stops on the rehab at Arkansas and Louisville.
I'd like to pass along greetings to Marilyn Veach, recovering from heart surgery, a Cub fan for 68 years from her grandkids. Line drive and a leaping grab by Polanco to end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. Middle of the 8th. Cardinals lead 16-3. 16-3 Cardinals, and here's the Ameritech play that makes a difference.
In the first inning, where 15 men came to the plate, Kent Bottenfield lays down a suicide squeeze. The ball stays fair, and then Steve Traxel hits Bottenfield with the throw, and then things got ugly. 11 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors later, the Cubs trailed by 8, and that is your Ameritech playbook.
Ordaz, play cut off by Hernandez, nicely done. 1 away. Cardinals in the first inning, in case you were fortunate enough to miss it, sent 15 men to the plate. They scored 8 runs on 6 hits. The Cubs helped them with 2 errors in that inning. And Terry Mulholland is on in relief, and he is what, the 6th, or have I?
He is the 6th
pitcher for the Cubs.
On for the 46th time, a 3-2 record, a fine 2.64 ERA.
Well, this has been one of those nights for the Cubs, but hopefully it does not extend into tomorrow afternoon in game 2 of this series. He almost hit him. Polanco playing second base in relief of Pat Kelly. It's a pop fly foul out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Terry Mulholland has done a solid job for the Cubs out of the bullpen. He's allowed just 3 earned runs in 32 innings over his last 28 appearances. Nice play. Jose Hernandez. Big arm to first in time. Well done. A couple of sparkling plays by Jose Hernandez, and there are 2 men gone in the 8th.
Good effort by Jose, robbing the Cardinals of yet another double. This one down the line, Jose gets a glove on it, and from foul territory fires it across.
You may recall Brian Jordan hit one down the line in the first inning that bounced off the bag and over the glove of Jose Hernandez, and that helped to contribute to the nightmarish first inning as well.
John Mabry comes on for his first at bat of the night.
And the 1-0 pitch to Mabry is down low. He's going to become more of a utility man now for the Cardinals. Shore warming up in the bullpen for the Redbirds. Will probably pitch the 9th. Wave and a miss by Mabry. Two balls and 1 strike.
Shore has been used as a closer, with Brantley struggling somewhat after arm surgery.
Count even at 2-2.
A lot of people think that Acevedo might eventually grow into that closer role. There is Jeff Brantley.
Manny Alexander gobbles it up, and the Cardinals go quietly in the 8th. 9th inning coming up, and the Cubs need 13 to tie. Shore.
That's a very young Cardinal fan who would be appreciating this, but I think she appreciates her mom a little bit more right now. As Croucher, 0-3, 4.50 ERA, on for the 27th time, and he has saved 8 games. He's just getting a little exercise tonight.
He allowed 5 runs on 3 hits in a third of an inning against Milwaukee on the 28th of July, and suffered his first blown save in 8 tries, but he bounced back with save number 8 2 days later, tiring the final batter of the game with the bases loaded. There's the look at that full moon. We thought some real crazy things might happen, and indeed they did. But they happened to the Cubs. Tyler Houston leads off here in the ninth. And he checks a swing, looks at strike one call. Same two teams tomorrow, and again, Mark Clark for the Cubs against Donovan Osborne. And then on WGN on Sunday afternoon, this series concludes. 1 o'clock on WGN. Don Wengert will be on the mound for the Cubs. 1 ball, 1 strike. And it's 1-2.
Crocher gets that ball up there 94, 95 miles an hour. And he's a big, strong young man. 6'4", 210 pounds, out of Lakehurst, New Jersey.
The 1-2. Fly ball, pretty well hit. Willie McGee on his horse in center field, but to the deepest part of the ballpark, and McGee able to track it down just in front of the warning track. Let's pause for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Tonight on the WGN News following the game, the latest on the embassy explosions in Africa, plus more on the memorial service for the late Cubs announcer Jack Brickhouse on the WGN News following the game. Manny Alexander sends a pop fly down the right field line, foul and harmlessly out of play. And speaking of Brick, if you'd like more information, an entire web page set aside. Remember Brick, and let me give you, let's see if we can put that up there again, Arnie. There it is. WGNTV.com. A look back on the life of Jack Brickhouse. Truly a television pioneer. Back to the box. 2 men down.
Mercifully, there's 1 out to go.
This game is approaching 3 hours long. It seems much longer than that, only because we're on the wrong side of 16-3.
It was a lot of fun in that first inning when the Cubs were putting 3 on the board, courtesy of a couple of St. Louis errors. But that was the lone bright half inning for the Cubs.
Swing and a miss by Sandy Martinez, and you had to feel good about the situation going to the bottom of the first inning with a guy like Steve Traxel, who had won 5 in a row and had been pitching consistently, some of the best ball of his season. But it was not to be. Traxel never got out of the first. He went just a third of an inning, his shortest stint this season by far. 1-1 pitch is down low and inside. It's 2-1. Meanwhile, the Astros were beating up on the Fighting Phils. We'll have to talk to the commander, Pete Toma, about that. And Randy Johnson shut him out 9-0. Here's a pop fly, and this should be the ball game into shallow center field. And the second baseman Polanco ranges over, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. So the final score here in St. Louis. The Cardinals defeat the Cubs 16-3. Back with the final after these words.